Alright, guys. So, here's the deal. I haven't played a game I played Baldur's Gate 3, which is kind of like this, I suppose, but I haven't really played a lot of these since, like, the original Diablos. And, I was a big fan of Necromancy and stuff back then, so I wanted to remake a character for that. But, on this alpha test, pretty much the only male character we can get that can go into Necromancy is going to be the Warrior so far. And so we're kind of theorizing here. And I have no real experience with Path of Exile, so no idea if this build is good or not, but essentially it looks like a head. And I'm just going to call it the Lynch King. And I don't know if Ascending wastes one of your points or not, so I have the Titan for the Warrior here, but the original idea for this was to be like super tanky and have a ton of health, and this would give us health and regeneration. And then right here, allies in your presence regenerate 1% of maximum health per second. And my thought process was, well, if I got this, I could heal my backline minions, like my archers and stuff, and keep them alive. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. It depends on what we have to do, like when the build is like tested in game, if we figure out what we need in game, because right now it's just going for damage. And honestly, I could see cutting quite a lot. It's kind of flexible when I look at it. So I think I would probably save these for the end because this is gonna take like 29 levels to get down in here. Um, so you wouldn't be able to have any of these bonuses for this minion damage here until the very end. But these are pretty big. And from my understanding, watching a few videos, I don't know about the archers and stuff, but the soldiers, the skeleton warriors, apparently do a percentage of their health max damage to enemies that they hit. So we're looking to do basically uh, super heavy minion damage. So we need to increase their damage as much as possible and increase their health as much as possible. And for the build, the idea basically is that we want our warriors to die. We don't want them to stay alive. And essentially, the plan is that they're going to run in, and then we're going to support gem our warriors to where when they die, they live for 4 seconds. So as long as they can close the distance within 4 seconds and get a few melee attacks and stuff off and explode, then we can start summoning horrors and stuff off the top of them, and it'll be really good. That's the basic idea. But you can see from here, we swapped sides to this other side because it didn't really matter. And this gives us early game armor. But we're just going to have a ton of attributes until, we get to somewhere. So the warrior that we're using right now, that we kind of tested some of this on because I didn't know this website existed. Right now he's at the end of phase 1. And we took this route up through here and around. And he's just now getting to this, where you can get life regeneration. And then he went down through here and made it to this minion damage. What we're going to do is go around all the way to here and just grab the minion damage that's up here. And this gives us 20% crit chance, but this will give us around the same level that he's at right now, you should be able to get this bonus minion damage, which is going to help you on that boss. And these stat points here might just go into health. I don't really know. Because my warrior that I tested things on, since he went through here, he had access to a few mana regenerations, but he never really uses much mana, even though he's spamming ability all the time, so it regenerates pretty quick. So this we'll have to see if you need intelligence or not. The other thing is that the other warrior build, basically we grabbed some things that gave us like strength and intelligence. There's like two different spots. They gave us like strength and intelligence, and I'm not sure exactly where they are, but I know there was like two different abilities that we had grabbed. Um, I think because we cut across here somewhere, but there's a lot of stuff here that seems like having the extra armor would be really nice, and the extra block chance and stuff. I think what we're going to be trying to do is use skills that shield you from enemy attacks to keep them off of us. So like wall abilities and things like that that try and shield us, not do damage, but protect us from attack, which should be pretty good as long as we can wall things off. And that means that we can basically delay things long enough to our minions can respawn. But that being said, we got a few options here because we spec'd in basically every single damage and every life bonus that we could, for the most part. And we're only like 1 point down right now. But you see, like, we have these 20% damage bonuses and stuff. And then here, we could potentially cut these. So this is like 4 skills that you could cut right here. But these are area of effect bonuses, which I think we'll want for the explosions. And then it also gives that percent chance for wither, which I think will also be pretty good. And then down here, you have the same thing where, like, we could technically cut all this, but this gives us a 20% area of effect bonus as well. And then down here, you have 10%, 30% damage bonus. And then you have the option of getting revived 25% faster. So my question right now is, do we need to have a way to respawn things faster, or just let them respawn naturally like they should, like in game? Which I don't really know. And this regenerative frustration stuff I was kind of tempted for, but then I figured, we want them to die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we're getting like 40% increased maximum life, which should boost their damage. But down here you also have faster revives, so you could potentially get like 50% faster revives on your minions. But the big one I'm looking at is this Gravedigger. So if we dump a little bit of minion HP up top, we can grab this, which lets minions revive 50% faster, and then you gain 2% life when one of your minions is revived. So if we have 10 minions on the ground and they get revived, potentially, that might heal us more than, like regenning health if we have all of our passive stats throughout this tree line put into like strength. We could have a lot of extra health potentially going on. And 2%, like, that's 20% of your health if they just get revived. And if we're just letting these guys blow up and regen and blow up over and over again, I could see that being very good, even if it did reduce damage. So I'm very tempted to try and get that. So we could drop these two points here and grab this 5% and this 15, which will give us a little bit of healing. And then we'd have the option of grabbing this 5 later if we want to. But if we do that, we're going to start dropping our radiuses. So I guess it really depends on how much damage we want, how much survival. Like, we need all this to kind of balance out. And it's hard for me to really know what needs, because like this right here, 20% maximum life. And then you have these 8% increases. So this is like 36% increased life, which is pretty good. But this is another 20%. So if we don't care about regenning the skeletons, we can get them to do more total damage before they blow up. But here's the other thing, is that we could take these 2 points out here, and I think we need extra points. But there's a couple of trees like this that offers recover 3% of life when you create an offering, which is okay. But up here somewhere, this one, we would need 3 skill points, but you'd see offering skills have 20% increased area of effect, and then offering skills have 20% increased area effect, and then these are just like they get increased life. That's not really important. But this bottom one, 40% increased minion damage while you have at least 2 different offerings active. So this I'm kind of curious about, because the only offerings that I could find on Google or whatever, you have the pain offering, which says grants minions 30% increased attack and cast speed, and then Aurora grants minions 29% more damage. So if we drop those 2 skill points, maybe we drop another one somewhere else, we might be losing like, 30 max health or 30 something. But throwing an offering in, we could potentially get 30 increased damage off of this, which could be good. And then the second offering that I've seen is the bone offering, which impales a skeleton on a bone spike to shield your minions while the spike remains. The shield absorbs all damage from the next hit each minion takes, then explodes. The bone spike itself is a minion, and shields itself. If it dies, shields on your other minions disappear. So my thinking is, you run these 2 skills with a bunch of warriors, warrior skeletons or whatever. Then you put the support skill that basically lets your minions stay alive for 4 seconds after they take a lot of damage. And then your skeletons will run in at the very beginning of combat, get murdered, but then they'll be able to attack for 4 seconds. Then they'll all explode, causing a bunch of things to die. But before that happens, you drop the pain offering and the bone offering, which will then shield all of the minions and the offerings for a bunch of damage. And then those shields will all explode, and then the minions will all explode, and then the bone offerings would explode. But while those 2 bone offerings are active, you would get a 70% increase in damage, uh, which would just destroy everything. And then against like a bigger boss, or something that you don't need to, they're not going to die with, you just get a bonus to their physical hit. And then from there, you'd put like leeching and stuff on, and the jagged horror summons. So the first wave of minions going in would cause a bunch of dead guys, and then you could resurrect those dead guys and have those go in, and then those maybe explode as well. So you just have like a chain of explosions and minions. But the thing is I don't know how strong you're going to be, so you might need like some wall abilities to block minions from rushing you. So the bone spikes, the bone wall is probably one, and then like the volcanic one that like puts a ring, like some sort of wall abilities that can just keep things from running at you would be really nice, I think. And then the rest of this, I think, is just kind of optional. But you see, we got like they have 40% increased crit hit chance. So I don't know if that is just auto attacks or if it's also the explosion. But I would think it would be the explosion as well. And then we got 15% crit bonus damage, 15% crit bonus damage, and then all of these 40% increased crit bonus damage, 20% crit chance. So 40, 60. This would be 100% bonus there. So I'm not sure what that would put them at. But then we also have, there's something else over here. Right here, which I don't know how good this would be, but it would take 3 more points. All bonuses from an equipped Imlet apply to your minions instead of you. So I'm thinking potentially this could be useful because if you're able to apply like a crit chance or some sort of damage bonus or some sort of random effect, or even like some sort of triggered effect if there's something that triggers, then they apply to the minions instead of you. Maybe you could get multiple triggers off of the minions. And that would be kind of interesting. But the other thing with this build is that I don't know how good this is or not, but I purposely changed the routes on a lot of these abilities to get additional jewel sockets. So this one could definitely hit this area down here. And then you have another one right here. And then if you wanted to put a point into something, you could put one right here and get an additional jewel socket. But it would only be hitting these things right here probably. But you can see you got like 1, 2, potentially 3, but 3, 4. And this is all in one area. And then you got 5 down here. And then down here you got 6 and 7. So potentially 7 jeweled sockets, which could be good. Just don't know how good. But then all these middle points, you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. So you get like 54 just like base attribute stats that you could choose for something else. So that's potentially what, like 108 strength, which I think gives you like 2 health per point or something. So maybe you'd have like 220 extra health or something if you wanted to. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, but maybe that's enough for you, like your base stats and all that. But I'm not sure if this is going to be good or not. And then this other one, the Lord of Horrors at the top, having 12% reduced reservation could be good to have more minions. So that's another one to kind of look at. So I'm kind of split where to go with this because, I mean, these two here could be pretty easy to cut, which would let me get Lord of Horrors and then potentially um, it would let me have this bigger area of effect, or I could drop some of the area of effect and I could drop this whole line here. And like basically if I grab that and I drop these, it'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll get 6 points back. So we'd have 5 spare right here. And then with those 5, we could get... Actually, hold on. We'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we drop all those, we'll lose 50% bonus life, which sucks, and area effect damage. And then we could grab this for reduced things. We could grab that for bonus damage, which would put us at 6. And then we'd need 2, 3. So basically, you can get rid of this and this, and you'd have the options of grabbing the emerald thing and this, or grabbing that and the life regeneration. It seems kind of flexible, but I don't know how good the build's going to be until we actually try it. The other thing is the witch skill line is like right here as well, which makes me wonder because a witch could potentially use this build as well, because like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got like 5 skill points here. So if a witch tried to do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, like, okay, it wouldn't be able to go directly across, but if it cut some of this off, it could try and do a build like this. But I'm very curious what the best options here would be. So, you guys let me know if you think this is a good idea or not. I'm gonna be trying to do it and rebuild my old Necromancer from Diablo, which basically just used all skeleton warriors back in those days. So that's what I'm gonna try to do here as well, and just see what they're thinking. Maybe like clerics. I don't know how good the clerics are, but I heard that they're supposed to be really good at reviving your skeletons. So I could see that being potentially good as well. Like, do you need clerics if you have the revive faster thing, or do you not need the revive faster thing if you have clerics? Because that would be beneficial not to have the revive stuff, which would be nice. We also could drop the minion life for the increased damage down here, which there's already 3 points in. Because like basically we could get rid of the increased area of effect skills here. If we did this, it would lower the area of effect quite a lot, but it would give us a lot more single target, and we wouldn't have the wither, but potentially we could have 4 additional points here, which would allow us to get this 30% increased damage and the revive faster, and then we could drop these 2 and then grab the revive fasters from here, which I think potentially might give us more damage in the long run against like bosses and stuff, because I mean that's going to give you a lot of revive potential, but you still run into the same thing where like you wouldn't be able to get these. So like you get 4 points there. So we get 4 points, and then we'd spend 4 points here. And we could take 2 points from that, and we could get 5, 20% faster. So we get 45% faster revives and extra health when revived. But if we do that, we lose out on the 40% increased damage potentially from the other stuff and whatever this talisman will do. So I don't know. But I think it's kind of cool that this looks like a head. So hopefully this doesn't change. Y'all guys have a good one.